Hello everybody, this is Dylan Wong here, and today I'm going to review Godzilla, the 2014 remake. Now I've been a big fan of Godzilla ever since I was a kid. I watch all the Japanese Godzilla movies on TV and collect them on DVD. I always looked up Godzilla and kaijus on the internet as well as playing the Godzilla video games such as Destroy All Monsters Melee, Save the Earth, and Unleashed. America has actually made their own version of Godzilla back in 1998, distributed by Sony and directed by Roland Emmerich, who was famous for directing Independence Day, The Day After Tomorrow, and 2012. But it received bad reviews by critics and fans, and as for the box office, didn't do as well as they hoped, which is why they never made a sequel. Instead, made a spin-off animated series, and Sony's right for Godzilla has been expired. For my opinion for Emmerich's Zilla, as a kid I liked it a lot, but as I grew older I realized that this is not a Godzilla movie, and Roland Emmerich himself admitted that he never liked Godzilla. But overall, I don't hate Zilla 98 like other people do. I wish it could have done better. However, I think the anime series is more enjoyable than the movie. So when I first heard that Warner Bros. And Legendary Pictures decided to reboot the American Godzilla movie, I get so excited because it's been 10 years since we haven't had a Godzilla movie after Final War. So now that I finally went to see Godzilla with my uncle in IMAX 3D, what do I think of the movie? I absolutely love this movie! This movie succeeded my expectation. It is definitely the Godzilla movie done right! Now before I can tell you why I love this movie so much, I want you all to know that this is a non-spoiler review and don't want to get too much into detail. So moving on. Let's first start off with the story. The story of this movie surrounds the force of nature. It first starts in the 1950s where the testing of the nuclear bomb at the Bikini Troll took place. But it turns out they wanted to use the nuclear bomb to try to destroy Godzilla. Later in 1999, two scientists traveled to the mines in Philippines, where they found a giant skeleton of a creature and two egg-shaped pods. They later discovered that one of the pods has been hatched. Then it cut to Japan, where a man named Joe Brody, who has a wife named Sandra and a son named Ford, worked at the nuclear power plant. However, things gone wrong where the nuclear power plant is being destroyed. Everybody in Japan is evacuated and Joe's wife Sandra died. 15 years later, Joe's son, Ford, now grown up and had a wife named Ellie and a son named Sam, lived in San Francisco until he got a phone call about his father Joe arrested for trespassing in a restricted area and later got released. So Joe and Ford decided to enter and investigate the place where the incident happened. But when they got there, they got arrested until a chrysalis that the scientists tried to study has hatched into a winged creature named Muto, and that's where the excitement begins. By the way, there are actually two Mutos. The male Muto is a winged creature while the female Muto is a creature that walked on 6 legs. For Godzilla, you don't really see him until the last minute, just like the shark in Jaws, the T-Rex and the Velociraptors in Jurassic Park, Gollum and Smaug in the Lord of the Rings franchise, and that alien creature in Super 8. Interestingly, both Godzilla and Mutos are not portrayed as a hero or villains, but as an animals. I think the story was very well told. Now moving on for the special effects. The special effects of this movie I think were really well done. The CGI of those creatures looks a lot more realistic. I could definitely tell by the details of their skins and how they move. The Godzilla in this movie, though it does look like the Japanese version, still I think was well designed. Now a lot of people including my uncle thinks that this Godzilla is overweight. Well, I have to disagree on that. For the other effects, the buildings crumble, the landscapes and the explosions, I also think looks great. I really do enjoy the fight scenes between Godzilla and the Mutos. Now for the acting, directing, and music. Let's start with the main character, Ford, played by Aaron Johnson, who is best known for playing Kick-Ass in the 2 Kick-Ass films and Quicksilver in the upcoming Avengers sequel, Age of Ultron. I think he really did a good job for this role, and you actually do care for this character because he loved his wife and son so much, and he and his father lost his mother from the nuclear power plant incident. His character Ford was served as a military to protect his home and see his wife and son again. Moving on to Dr. Zawa, played by Ken Watanabe, who was from The Last Samurai as the leader of the samurai warrior, Batman Begins as Ra's al Ghul's decoy, Memoirs of Geisha as a chairman, Letters from Iwo Jima as the general, and Inception as Sato the businessman. I felt that his portrayal for this character was almost like Seozawa in the 1954 Godzilla, and he actually did great. His character Seozawa is a scientist who knows the true nature of Godzilla and Mutos, and he believed that Godzilla is the only one who can kill Mutos. Seozawa's scientist partner, Dr. Graham, played by Sally Hawkins, also did great and feels like her character is as smart as her partner Seozawa. Then there is Ford's wife, Ellie, played by Elizabeth Olsen, the younger sister of the Olsen twins. Her portrayal of this character was actually very caring because she loved her husband Ford so much that she wanted him to come back home, and she really take care of her son Sam really well. I also find it funny that in this film, they're husband and wife, and in the Avengers Age of Ultron, they're twin brother and sister. But the one who steals the show is Joe, played by Bryan Cranston, who is best known for movies like Saving Private Ryan, Little Miss Sunshine, Drive, and Argo, as well as TV shows like Malcolm in the Middle and Breaking Bad. His character as Joe was very emotional because he was saddened over the death of his wife and wants to investigate that nuclear incident where he knows that it was not a natural disaster. Gareth Edwards, a British director who was best known for directing that independent film Monsters, I think did an amazing job directing this film. He proves that he's always a Godzilla fan and gives the fans like me what we want. Finally, the music composed by Alexander Desplat, who did music for films like The Golden Compass, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, the last two Harry Potter films, Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2, Argo and Zero Dark 30, really did wonderful for composing the music for this film. I feel that listening to this music sounds very strong, epic, and intense. So overall, this is definitely one of the best movies I've seen this year. It is something that Sony and Roland Emmerich have failed to do. It is also one of the best movies I've seen this summer, and one of the best giant monster movies I've seen since Peter Jackson's 2005 remake King Kong and Pacific Rim. If you're a fan of Godzilla and kaijus and action movies, you should definitely see it. Even if you're not a fan, I can still recommend you see this movie. It is, of course, the true American Godzilla. So I give this movie a 5 out of 5 nuclear bombs. I for one can't wait for a sequel. Maybe it would be cool if they put King Ghidorah, Mothra, or even Rodan in the next installment. Hopefully, it should get an Oscar nomination for Best Visual Effects or even sound editing and mixing. One more thing before I go. Happy 60th anniversary for Godzilla.